Welcome back to the Crooked Spine Show. I'm here with Melissa. She's going to go over exactly how she can help you understand what biotoxins are, including Lyme disease, which people understand how it affects people, along with sleep, hydration. Also, too, what I want to get into is what comes out the other end and how it affects your overall body, what it tells you about your overall body. So I'm going to keep the intro real quick because Melissa has information for you to understand exactly how to help you. So Melissa, tell me exactly how I get into this.
So I graduated from acupuncture school back in 1996 with a master's degree. And back then, long time ago, back in the 1900s, no one really knew what acupuncture was, right? We were so Western. And now, of course, right, acupuncture, along with a million other modalities, have really come to light. So I got into medicine studying acupuncture, Chinese medicine, a little Japanese medicine, a little terrain theory, and practiced for a while, and then took a little bit of a break, always keeping my hand in the healthcare world. But it wasn't until I got sick in 2009, and was a medical mystery, being tested all the time for everything under the sun. Everyone would tell me that my labs would come back normal. The only thing was I had a low white blood cell count, right? Which of course is our immune system, a little cry for help there, but no one could put any fingers on what it was. So I went undiagnosed for 5 years. I saw probably 20 doctors, including a week at the Mayo Clinic, and went undiagnosed. Wow. So that's how I got sort of back into the space that I'm in, working with clients who, in fact, have been told that their labs are normal and don't feel so normal.
Wow. Okay. And it happens so often because right now they're at that point, they're not an emergency. Don't have a health condition that they can help you with. How does that happen?
The undiagnosis part? Mm-hmm. So Lyme disease, unfortunately, can look like almost any syndrome. It can affect your brain. It can affect your GI. It can affect your joints. It affects your sleep. It affects your mental wellness. Depression and anxiety are rampant in people with Lyme disease, not only because of the disease process, but also because we're told so often that perhaps we just need an antidepressant. Perhaps it's just anxiety. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's a combination of testing isn't great. You know, Lyme disease starts out as a spiral-shaped bacteria, and when it's in the blood, right, the first probably 2 weeks of the disease, we can test the blood for the disease. But after 2 weeks, that Lyme starts to hide. Because of its corkscrew shape, it can burrow into organs, to joints, to tissues, and then it can hide. So while with a Lyme disease, you might get a bite with a bullseye rash, and if you do, that is a wonderful warning sign to go right to your doctor and start medication immediately. 50% of us don't get a rash. I never had a rash. But if it lays latent for a long time, then you've got all kinds of other issues because you'll test repeatedly, and guess what? It's not in the blood, so a blood test isn't going to do it.
So how do you get into, okay, I may have this, my doctor has been treating me for, say, over a year for my depression, my anxiety, the symptoms of something that they can't figure out what it is. How do you then test to go, okay, I think it might be this. How do I connect with Melissa? And what's your first step you do with someone who has that?
So most of my clients have been told that their lab tests are normal. I read through lab tests every day. You know, doctors running standard LabCorp blood workups, and everything looks normal. And yet I'm looking at people who are very sick. And that's why functional medicine is so powerful. We have the ability to run labs that Western doctors just don't know about. I mean, it's simply that, right? Okay. Depends on where you put your time and your focus. For me, it's biotoxin illness. And let me just explain what biotoxin illness is. So it's a toxin that gets inside of our bodies, inside of our biology, biotoxin, and starts to wreak havoc. That could be mold exposure with wet, damp basements. Most of my mold patients will, upon examination, remember, I remember we did have a massive flood in the bathroom, but we cleaned it up. Well, maybe it wasn't cleaned up, right? Yeah. So mold is a big one. Lyme disease, of course, but not only Lyme disease, Dr. Tony, but do you know that there are a plethora of diseases that come from that very same tick? Babesia, Bartonella, Ehrlichia, Rocky Mountain spotted fever. You have to test individually for all of those. All of those could result from one little tick bite.
Well, then that point, you're almost asking your health insurance to go above and beyond what they're being paid for, right? Which is, I guess, they should want to, but why does someone have to get it done outside of their healthcare system?
It's simply because doctors don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I was sick, I wound up in a Florida ER room and said, I know what happened. I've been here before. I have Lyme disease. And they looked at me like, you have what?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so it's not doctors' fault. It's just the way that they are trained is not picking up these sort of more relatively new conditions, these biotoxins. And it can be as simple as people could have glyphosate poisoning. A lot of what we're seeing with IBS and Crohn's might really just be a toxic chemical that's destroying the gut. Mm-hmm. Take people off glyphosate, detox that glyphosate, and heal the gut, and we can make a lot of progress. But you have to know what to test for.
That's the thing. And what kind of tests are we talking about here? Are they more test hard to get test type of things, or something that they're able to go through you to get the right testing?
Right. Through me, through any functional medicine practitioner. Okay. We do a lot of urine testing, some blood testing, even some hair testing. Common tests that we would run would be something like a Dutch test if we were looking at someone's hormones, right? It's not enough to just run an estrogen progesterone test and tell you that your levels are fine. It's really how all of those levels play together. For mycotoxins, again, it's urine. And so mold, which we see in our environment, once it's inside the body, creates mycotoxins or poisons. And that's what we're looking for inside the body. And that test is just a urine test where we're looking for what we're pushing out. Because remember, our kidneys and our urine is one main way that we're detoxing. So a lot of times if we can't find things in blood, we sometimes can find it in urine or in stool.
Well, it's something where you're taking more time with someone to help them really understand, hey, look, we're going to go deep into this. At that point, give you everything we can to hopefully rule things out. And at this point, even rule things in to find out exactly what's going on with you, why you're not feeling well, why are you feeling this way, and why you haven't been told what it is.
Right. And it's such a different way of looking at the body and of practicing medicine, if you will. We use that term loosely here, but it's not this for that medicine. It's not, I have a headache, what can I take? It's, I have a headache, drill down. How are your hormones? How's your hydration? How did you sleep? What are you eating? We look at all of those possible causes for the root of the problem. Once we fix that, the headaches go away. We don't need to fix the headache. We need to fix the root.
And you're helping someone, I think, also understand, too, how to help themselves. But now they've done the testing, they're making them their best doctor. As I like to say, at that point, they understand, okay, this is my body, this is my biochemistry. How do we make sure my biochemistry is going to be clean, healthy, and keep it this way?
Absolutely. A lot of what we do is education.
Good. And how does, when you talk about biotoxins, does that affect the sleep, or is sleep affecting biotoxins? How does sleep affect it with that?
Well, both, right? So when we're sleeping at night, that's the one way that our brain can drain toxins, through our lymph system, right? We have these beautiful lymph nodes in this lymph structure. And while we're sleeping, our brain is draining. So if we're not sleeping well, we're not draining our brain. And we also are taking in so many toxins daily that we need this balance. We need our kidneys and liver to be flushing. We need to be pooping, which we'll talk about, my favorite topic, very regularly to get those toxins out. We need to be moving our body, which moves our lymph and also lets us sweat, which is another way, right? So it's never one thing, Dr. Tony. There's never one tiny thing that we can fix, or even one pill or one supplement or one magic vitamin. It really is looking at what I call the 5 pillars of health, which is sleep, nutrition, hydration, mindfulness, and movement. All of those things, all of those places are places that we can make little corrections every day, make better choices to sort of rise up, lift up our bodies, lift up our immune systems. And then once those 5 pillars, once we're doing a great job managing all of those, then we can start to think about adding supplements or adding some detox practices or taking it a step further. The problem is everyone wants to just go to that next step. No one really wants to look at lifestyle and where we can make those little changes to pick our health up a little bit.
Well, you're allowing someone to understand, okay, you may be strong in exercise, but you're weak over here. You may be strong in this, but you're weak. To that point, you're giving someone a way to get their well-being their mind, body, and spirit. So then they learn how, okay, once I'm here, now this feels a lot different. How do I maintain this? It's not going to be that hard to maintain, but you got to get there first. Realize the average person is on medication, doesn't sleep well, doesn't poop enough, is dehydrated, has brain fog, gets sick 3 or 4 times a year, doesn't know why. So they're going through the medical system going, hey, look, give me another pill for this because that's all they know. I say they're naive because they just don't know a different way. How do you get their mindset to shift to understand, hey, look, we got to get these 5 pillars in line first, and then you'll feel well, and then you can stay well and know when you're off. At that point, you need to fix this over here. How do you get someone to understand those 5 pillars?
I think that happens in the first appointment and the first meeting when I'm ready to work with somebody. People that come to me, people that are thinking outside of their copay or the Western medical model, are generally people who don't feel well, who are looking for answers. And so, yeah, a lot of times you explain to people, you're going to have to change your diet. You're going to have to go to bed earlier. You're going to have to change the water that you're drinking. You're going to have to change, you've never meditated. It's time. And so I work with clients over a long period of time, very intimately.
Good.
An hour a week we are meeting. We are talking through all of the pillars of health, making little changes. We're just looking for 1% changes over time. That's a huge amount of change, but just little. Today, don't eat anything in a bag or a box. Tonight, I want you to put your phone down and take a bath with Epsom salt before bed. Tomorrow, you haven't worked out in 2 weeks. Tomorrow, I just want you to take a walk in the morning, preferably with sunlight in your eyes, right? So I'm part cheerleader. I'm part accountability coach, right? Good. I'm part healer. I'm part diagnostician. I'm part lab reader. But that's the beauty of working with a health consultant or a health coach, is that it's an intimate relationship where we're working together regularly. You can't go to the doctor twice a year and expect to heal yourself or get better. Where are the tools, right?
They're not all knowing, right? Just because you have a 2 letters after doesn't mean you're all knowing. But you're letting someone go, okay, I'm going to commit to hanging out with Melissa, say, for maybe 3, 4, 5 months. I want my life to change. It's not this symptom to change. It's not the headaches go away. It's my life to change. She's going to help me be accountable, make a little comfortable, hopefully. And when I say hopefully, I have to, if I'm uncomfortable, I know I'm causing a change in my body. And you're going to give me the tools how to do and what's the next step for me, because you're going to see my bird's eye point of view of what's going to take me to change my life 1 step at a time, or it may be 1,000 steps, but it's going to take me months to get there.
Right. One of the places that we always start with all clients is pooping. I know you wanted to address sort of what comes out the other end, but if we're not pooping regularly, and by that I mean at least once a day, preferably in the morning, but I would love to see my clients poop 2 to 3 times a day. Every 8 to 12 hours, if we're taking in food, it should be digesting and processing and moving its way out. I will tell you, when I have clients that come constipated, and within a month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks for really stubborn cases, they are pooping regularly, it is life-changing, Dr. Tony. I mean, I have clients say, oh my God, like, I'm not bloated. I don't walk around uncomfortable. I don't have pain. My hemorrhoids have gone away. That in itself, I feel like, motivates people to continue, right? We get people pooping. Then we work on their liver and kidney. We raise their cellular energy. We remineralize their systems because we are so replete in minerals. Our ground is not doing the job. People think that it's important to get minerals through your water, mineral water. I don't know if you've talked about the importance of clean water on your podcast, but that's another place that we start. All of my clients, for the duration that we work together, switch to distilled water. Okay. Distilled water is pure water. It's H2O. It is the steam that is captured when you boil water. Therefore, there's no bacteria, there's no heavy metals, there's no particulates, there's no radioactive elements, which is a huge problem. Most people are drinking tap water, and even a Brita filter isn't doing it. And so making sure it's part of our constipation package, right? Making sure that you are really hydrated so you're not producing really dry, hard to move stools. So you can see it, all these pillars, right? They work together. So while constipation, we're focused on, making sure they're eating fiber and taking magnesium and all of that. Water, which is another pillar, becomes a big part of that.
Good. And like you're saying too, when you talk about someone's poop and they feel that difference and they feel, because I'm pooping better, now my body's feeling better, then they go, what's the next step? You're giving them that hope. I'm actually getting results. You're helping them. Okay, now I have results. How do I make sure this result stays with me? I feel pain-free. I'm not bloated. I'm not constipated. I don't feel ill all the time. And you start going back to the overall health. Okay, now let's backtrack. What's causing you to be constipated or having gas issues for 1, 2? At that point, you're helping them understand. Okay, now we're going to go to hydrate. We're going to do this. We talk about hydration. Distilled water, yes. How often? How much should we drink per day?
So because distilled water is just water, and because we still need minerals, right? The minerals that are in mineral water come from rock, poorly absorbed in the body. We need to be getting our minerals from plants. Unfortunately, because the soil is not what it used to be, we're having a hard time meeting the mineral quotient. So I use liquid minerals from a company called Cellcore that I work with. I just put a dropper or two. In fact, a lot of times I'll just open up a gallon of distilled water and put a couple droppers in. I feed it to my dogs. My kids get it. And in fact, I'm putting in a big distiller in my house because we're sick of lugging plastic, and who needs to be dealing with plastic. But I think it should be half your body weight, probably, depending on your amount of activity. But if you weigh 150 pounds, that's 75 ounces of distilled water a day. If you want to add on a bubbly water or a tea, great, but that doesn't count towards your water quotient. I want people drinking adequate amounts of water. You're going to feel so much better when you're hydrated. You're less hungry, you're less grouchy, you sleep better, your poops are better. Hydration is just such a quick, easy one. And I usually carry this, which is a Yeti cup, 30 ounces. I pour my water in, I put my minerals in, and I drink it throughout the day. I try to get 2 of these, and then I'll probably have like a bubbly water. I drink a coffee in the morning, remembering that coffee does not count. It's actually dehydrating. No. But I love my morning coffee.
Caffeine, though. Come on, we will not be on a podcast or interview without some caffeine in our body.
That's right.
There's no way. And we talk about hydration. Someone that, for example, doesn't like to drink water, doesn't like the taste of water, and drinks, for example, sodas as a way for them in their mind to hydrate. How do you get them to shift that mindset? And how much do you have to start drinking off the bat to help them change that step-by-step process?
So my clients don't drink soda. That's just, there's nothing in there for your body. On the scale of like foods can heal and foods can kill, soda's killing, right? Yes. So I understand I don't like the taste. And minerals don't really help because they will give it a little bit of a minerally taste. You can add... I like lemons and limes, oranges, citrus of any kind. You can add berries. You can actually freeze fruit in ice cube containers and add that. So for people that have trouble drinking water, but I tell people, like, water is life. So you don't like it, it doesn't mean you don't have to do it. I don't love to exercise every day. I don't not have to do it, right? It's not a choice. Clean water is necessary to run our bodies.
It's something where like you can go and understand, okay, these are things to look for in my symptoms, even though I'm not feeling well, that can help me deal with my symptoms by doing my whole body, correct? I'm getting my whole body to reset, getting those 5 pillars to kind of get back in line with everything so I can stay there.
Yeah, over on my website, there's a free wellness assessment that really does play to all 5 of those. And you'll understand when you take the quiz, you know, obviously I get less than 8 hours of sleep a night. That's the sleep pillar, right? Or I don't drink enough water. That's the water pillar. So you can take that quiz and just take a look at what's out of balance and just pick whatever's the weakest, start working there. Most of us know. I mean, if you asked most of your patients, here's 5 places in your life where you could make changes. Which one is the weakest? Pick that and start.
When I took your quiz, it took me about, I think, a minute to take your whole quiz. It doesn't take very long, but allows you to think, okay, what am I doing that I can change in my life so this part's better? Because realize once a pillar is off, at that point, other pillars suffer too, correct?
Like a table, right? It's like a table, not balanced.
So it allows you to really see that overall process. When someone's been working with you for about 3 months, what do they say? What do they do? How do they act differently now that they're getting their body healthier?
The number one, besides I'm finally pooping well, the number one is I have more energy. That is like overall, when you are taking care of the 5 pillars, right? And we are remineralizing and we're adding the supplements that you need. And, you know, the beginning of working with me is some good functional medicine testing so we can figure out exactly what's going wrong.
Good.
Because once we have that information, we can drill down and figure out where to start. But by 3 months, People are really feeling definitely more energetic. I would say that's number one besides pooping. But I think that's what we all are after, right? Like we are all after what I call vibrant wellness. I want my clients to wake up in the morning without an alarm, to fall asleep at night and sleep through the night, to make sure that they're eating whole foods, nothing in bags and boxes, they're drinking clean water, they're moving their bodies and sweating a little, and they're thinking at least about their mindset and starting some sort of mindfulness, meditation, gratitude journaling, whatever that might be. We take baby steps and meet people wherever they are, but that's a really important component of wellness, this mental mindset.
Well, it allows you, when you say energy, where's the energy coming from when they have more energy?
It's truly mitochondrial energy at the cellular level. I mean, once we can unburden the body, one thing we haven't talked about yet is sort of the idea of this toxic bucket, right?
Yeah.
We all, depending on our genetics and where we are in our lifetime, we have a set size of our genetic bucket. In that bucket go all the toxins that you take in, the crappy air that you're breathing, the aspartame in your diet soda, the heavy metals in the fish that you ate. And generally, our body does a pretty good job of detoxing that, right? Our liver maybe excretes a little extra bile to grab onto those toxins, and we're pooping it out. But I just lost my train of thought. Biotoxins.
You said the bucket, right?
Right, the bucket. So problems don't really start to happen until that bucket overflows, because we do a really good job managing everything that's inside that bucket. But once things start to overflow is when we start to see symptoms.
Got it.
If we can reduce the load that's in that bucket, which is built up over a lifetime, right? I mean, those exposures that you had as a kid are still in there if you're not detoxing them out. And they like to hide in bone and organs and tissues. You notice if you've had a big toxic exposure, you might put on a bunch of weight, right? Because the body likes to expand itself so that it can deal with toxins. We see a lot of weight loss when people start to detox. People who say, I haven't been able to lose weight. I'm just trying to lose this 10 pounds that I put on. Nothing I do makes a difference. It's probably there because you're toxic and your body's trying to expand itself so it's not as concentrated. Well, so once we start to get rid of those toxins in that bucket, that's when the energy level comes back online. That's when people's immune systems can finally, we've been weighed down, so we can finally come back sort of to life, if you will.
It almost allows your body not to waste energy on the things it's trying to kick out of your body, because now that if you want to call it, your body's more efficient, it can work on its own separately. If someone's had, for example, their gallbladder removed, their appendix removed, does that affect their ability to get their toxins out of their body?
Appendix, no. Appendix does not have anything to do with the detox mechanisms in our body, but definitely when we see people who have had a gallbladder surgery, which is very common, what the gallbladder does is it stores the bile, right? So the liver's pumping bile and the gallbladder's storing it. Without the ability to store bile, you're not probably excreting enough into your system to pull out toxins. So we do a lot of liver support, and a lot of herbs that can help to produce a little more bile to bind those toxins.
So it's allowing someone that maybe had a surgery or had other issues in their life or a bad immune system, hey, you can still recover. Your body can still self-regulate. Maybe supplementation required, but we can still get your body to a healthier state. Like you mentioned too, a lot of it is when our body has been thrown off for so long, now its natural state is unhealthy or sick. It's going to take time for them to reset that body to better homeostasis. So now their body feels better. And with everything going on, when they feel better, does it change their stress state?
Yeah. I mean, right? If you think about the fact that 80% of your neurotransmitters are made in your gut, once we start to do a little work in that area, which comes for all of my clients, a little bit of gut work, we see mood improve, right? And we're sleeping better, we're feeling better, we're hydrated, we're feeling better mentally. I mean, definitely.
It's almost allowing the body to work, like we said a second ago, more efficiently. So now it can stay in a stress state to handle our stressors of our day that are no longer going to affect us, because now our body can handle those stressors.
And also mindset, right? That's where mindset comes in. People who have a really high stress level, who've never taken on any sort of mindfulness practice. One of my favorite meditations that I do has me, it's a guided meditation. So someone's talking the whole time. That's what works best for me. But laying in a relaxed state, she asks you to look up into the sky and you see a screen. And on that screen is you fully healed. What does it look like? I say to my clients, what does it look like? What is it that you want to do that you can't do because you don't feel well? Is it play with your grandkids? Is it run around on the soccer field with your son? Is it a weekend fishing trip? Whatever that is, that's the screen. Mm-hmm. That's what we're visualizing. And just doing that process over and over again is a cue to our body that healing is possible. Right?
It's awesome when they have, now they can see it. Now, and then you're going to give them that bridge how to get there step by step so you can actually get there and then stay there.
Yes, definitely. A blueprint for healing. That's what I sort of lay out for people. And and working together is really working together, right? It's not me telling you what to do and you doing it. It's me telling you why and helping you make the changes.
You can't not drink the soda for them. You can't do the exercise for them. You can't meditate for them. You have, and as I do with my patients too, you have to make them accountable on their end to do the work to see their physiological body change and then make that their default, their healthier state overall.
For sure. That's why I work with clients weekly. Mm-hmm. Some of them I text with daily. Mm-hmm. But staying accountable, staying on top. If you looked at your healing journey as the next 6 months of your life, that can be overwhelming. We're just going to take it 1 week at a time. This is what we're going to do this week to get you 1 or 2% better. And over time, that adds up.
You're allowing that wall of, if you want to call it self-doubt, fear, anxiety, to get smaller by doing little small steps versus one big wall at one time. Just phenomenal.
Right. Empowered. People feel empowered.
And now they control their health versus let someone else control for them. Does it help them reduce their medication use?
Often. I mean, my clients are no longer on Miralax or, any of those bowel regulating medications that aren't fixing the problem, that are just Band-Aids. I have clients that have come off of thyroid medication. We get people successfully off of birth control pills without having to do any sort of hormonal crash. So yes, blood pressure medications can be reduced if people are losing weight and exercising and feeling healthy and eating the right foods. There's a lot of problems today in our health that are caused by our lifestyle. Change the lifestyle, you don't need the drugs.
How about diabetes type 2?
For sure. I mean, right? That's so much diet. We see that a lot in functional medicine, and that should be the goal for people with type 2, right? Like, you didn't get there overnight. You're not going to get back from there overnight. It's going to be a slow, steady progression. Again, it's probably going to take a year. If you look at it as a year, it's a long time. We take it 1 week at a time.
Well, if you're, say, 50 years old, you've only lived half your life. So 1 year should be nothing, correct? And look at the big picture.
I would agree with you, except I just read a study, Dr. Tony, saying that most people, for instance, men, their average age is, the age of death is under 80 now. So really, that's 40 is midlife, right? We need to be really taking a better look at ourselves in our 30s. I think we're waiting too long. I think people are waiting until they're sick. Can't wait until you're sick. Once you have a symptom, that should be a warning. That's your body saying, hey, something's not quite right. And a diagnosis is just a bunch of symptoms, right? So
it's your body telling you, hey, exactly, hey, there's an alarm going off. Do you want to deal with it or let the fire kind of burn itself out? And and guys are the worst anyways. We're the worst in the world. We wait till we can't move to go to the doctor. We're almost like we're because we are taking time off. Sometimes we go, I'll recover from this. They call it whatever, stubbornness, but allows them not to treat it initially. So now you have a chronic issue that turned into a heart attack, a cancer, something where now, yes, you are the typical 80-year-old death plan versus living to 100 because you took care of yourself in the 30s, 40s, 50s that you could have. You just didn't realize it was that important. It was more important to go to work and work 60 hours a week every day.
I think we're seeing a shift in that, right? Now that people are working from home and finding a little more balance, I think the grind is out, right? Self-care is coming in. I think it's high time that we start paying attention. But you are right. Most men tend to be worse than women. They tend to ignore. And that's why I loved acupuncture, Dr. Tony, because in China, in the original acupuncture, people went to their acupuncturist regularly and they didn't pay when they got sick. because the acupuncturist's job was to keep the body harmonious, to keep the energy flowing properly so that states of illness didn't occur.
It's almost shifting someone's mind from sick care. So you're a doctor, so you're a health practitioner, clinician, you're a functional medicine clinician when you're sick versus staying healthy, staying well, and more into wellness care perspective. So my life stays healthy. So when I have a problem, I take care right away. So it become a more of a chronic issue, more of a chronic illness.
I agree. And I think the better your state of health, the quicker you realize when something's off. And the more impact you can have by just making a quick correction.
You know what your normal is, and that is your body's default, so it can recover real quickly. That's how you know you're even healthy too. I saw someone who comes in and goes, had back pain this weekend, great, you've been healthy, you're going to recover a lot faster. Someone who's not used to that, their body's not used to that.
For sure.
No, like I said, you make my job easy. You have your own podcast, you have good information. Boom, show goes well, Melissa, we're good. Anything else you want to add that would help people kind of connect with you? Any kind of takeaways?
Well, I'm now on TikTok,
What?
trying to educate some of the younger people, right, about what we're talking about, like take action early. For women, especially women who are thinking about having babies, empty that toxic bucket that gets passed on to your firstborn child. You want to be in the best state of health, as clean as possible before you even think about getting pregnant. That's sort of the message to that generation. But I'm over there talking about all this good stuff. I just added a section to my website about mold toxicity, biotoxin illness, mold, mycotoxins. You can take the free mold quiz there. And if you have questions after that, find a practitioner who's nuanced in mold and treating mold.
Well, you live in New Jersey, correct? So
I do. I live in New Jersey, but I see clients all over the country.
That's what I'm saying. Get people in Hawaii because you had Alexa, whatever it is. Longest. Do you speak other languages too?
I don't.
Me either.
Not fluently. No, unfortunately.
So, I don't know. If you don't speak English, then I don't know how to help you. But it's something to where talk to Melissa, get information, take her quiz. It took me less than a minute to take her quiz. Figure out what pillar you're not connecting with, what your low pillar is, and work on that, my friends. Anything else, Melissa?
That's it. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, like I said, I like you on all the platforms. A lot of information out there makes my job easy when someone knows their stuff and already markets themselves well and educates our communities around. So wave the camera real quick. You have a good time? All right. Thank you.
Always. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Hold on a second. I'll end the show, then I'll talk afterwards.